I think Ernesto had a great night tonight. First of all, the way, when we approached him maybe a little bit more than 48 hours ago and told him that we were going to give him this opportunity, he was like, yes. And never a hesitation. And he came in tonight really believing he could win. And, if you're training and you're getting ready to fight one opponent and then all of a sudden you find out last minute you're fighting another opponent, he wasn't training to fight a guy who was 6'2", and he wasn't training for a fight that possibly could have gone 5 rounds. And that affects the way you prepare mentally and physically. And I think he did really, really well tonight. I think Thad Jean was just the better fighter tonight, and Thad Jean is a better fighter than he was a year ago. He's really maturing as a fighter, and I think he showed a lot of versatility, but it wasn't that easy. I mean, he got knocked down, and but he showed a real toughness and a tenacity, both standing up and on the ground. I think the whole night delivered in terms of really, really exciting fights, but the main event was a terrific fight and a great outcome for Thad Jean. He's deserving of winning, but Ernesto really impressed me tonight. Yes.
Hey John, great show first of all. I gotta say, there was a lot of things that seem to be working against this show though. I'm just curious to know, what was it like in the office just trying to last minute and like from when the first domino started to fall till today?
Yeah, this card had a number of fights fall out, and it's frustrating. It's part of the game. And I was joking earlier. I said I was nervous waking up every morning. I'm looking at my phone because there were like 3 days in a row, and it was like somebody's hurt, somebody's out. But I'm proud of the team that we were able to put together such competitive fights and exciting fights, and great for the fighters. Everybody showed up and really put it out there. So I think the quality of the fights, the excitement of the fights delivered for the fans. The fans seemed really excited. They were very, very loud. So I'm pleased. But the adversity of having to scramble around, it's nice to have the depth of the fighter roster that we do, that we could still put together really competitive fights on very short notice.
I'm presuming that next for Thad Jean one, we go back with Hussein, hopefully, maybe later this year.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go back and talk about it, but I'd like to see Thad fight Shamil. And I think Shamil's deserving of a title fight. He had one against Ramazan, and barely lost that fight in Dubai. And that was a very technical 5-round fight. Shamil's been at or near the top of the weight class for a long time. He's an elite fighter. And he's back and healthy. So, that's something we'll certainly give strong consideration to.
And final question, anything you can expand upon with that Ryzen collaboration that was just recently announced, or any more fights that you're trying to work out, or anything else that you can say as
Nothing to announce now. I'm really pleased, not only that we're able to do it, but the reception that it seems to be getting is quite positive. And that makes me happy, because this is something that not a lot of promotions would be willing to do. But this, to me, I think this is an example where it's good for the PFL. It's really, really good opportunity for AJ McKee. It's something that's never really been done before, that we're giving an opportunity for the athletes to hold belts in 2 separate promotions at the same time. I'm really excited. I mean, this is one of the things that I've said I've been willing to consider doing things that are a little bit more aggressive or different than other promotions. And I've been speaking with Saki Gabara-san now for quite a number of months, and thrilled to be able to do it for AJ. Thank you.
Hey, John Gilbert, Casual MMA. You just said that you want to see Thad have a rematch with, or not a rematch, but have the original fight with Shamil. But talking at the PFL weigh-in show, with that, he's interested in fighting Johnny Eblen going up in weight. How do you feel about double champ, or your fighters going up in weight class, trying to hold multiple belts? Is that something you like, or you kind of like, stay in your own weight class and just see what happens?
I think at the moment, I'm not against it philosophically.
So you're for it.
But look, he just became the welterweight champion tonight. So I'd like to see, I think Shamil deserves that fight. I'd like to see that happen. And then we have some unsettled business in the middleweight division, because Johnny Eblen is going to be fighting Costello. So let's see what happens there. I'm very, very excited about our middleweight division. I think it's really deep. And I think Costello and Johnny certainly need that. Well, they deserve that fight, and they were calling each other out at the end of the Austin card. They want that fight, so we'll do that, and then let's see how it plays out.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes.
Andrew Martinez from MMA Dungeon. First off, congratulations on another successful event. All eyes were on PFL. You guys had prime time today. Is there any news on a potential new broadcast deal? Any news on that front?
Not today. Yeah. No. I mean, look, we're still. I guess we're not out of July yet. I expected that we were going to be probably into the fall before we'll have that resolved, and so there's no update now. But I think I was pleased that we're on main ESPN tonight. I think we started a little bit late because the X Games ran over. So that's TV. That's the nature of that. So we'll see. With the X Games as a lead-in into the PFL, we'll see. Hopefully we were able to retain a bunch of that audience.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hello, John. This is PSMA, Mohan from PSMA, and just a question. I see here that you have the event between AJ McKee versus Rajwala Shadolayev, and where does Timur Hizri fit in the picture? It's still injured within his last year's injury.
Yeah, so he's still healing up. I believe he's number 1 ranked, and certainly, want to see how AJ does. But Timur is going to be at or near the top consideration for whatever possibly happens in Japan.
And also, I see here for the rankings, I don't see Puya Rahmani ranked anymore. Is there something happening with him? Is he active, or is he still there?
I don't even know. We don't do the rankings. Those are third-party rankings. So.
Oh, I see. And as for bantamweight, the battle title shot picture soon. Because I know bantamweight has so many players. There's Mitch McKee, Renat Havalov, there's Gustavo Oliveira, Marcelo Alvarez. There's anyway. So I guess eventually this year will have a title shot.
I would like to. I don't have anything to announce yet in the bantamweight, but I would like to have a champion in almost every single weight class before the end of the year. There may be something that spills over into the beginning of next year, but we've been consistently trying to crown champions, and bantamweight, is turning into also a pretty deep weight class for us. So there's some really, really interesting fights that we're looking to put together in that division.
Sounds good. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. Oh, wow. That's an interesting, it's hard to say that the main event isn't the fight of the night, but I think Kali versus Magomedov was an incredible fight for lots and lots of different reasons. You had very different styles. They were standing up. They went to the ground. They both knocked each other down. Kali fought with a lot of heart and fought a great fight. And that was a really, really close fight. That was one that I wasn't sure how much of that fight was going to be on the ground, and I didn't know how much action there was going to be. There was a ton of action in that fight. So I was pleased. That could be on the merits, maybe the fight of the night. Thank you. Yes.
John, thank you for your time and put on a wonderful event. Do you have any other East Coast events plans after New York and Charlotte?
Tampa.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be in Tampa August 22nd. And we have a title fight there in the women's division. It's the women's 145 with Chris Cyborg fighting Ketlin Vieira. Yep.
Hey John, congratulations on another great event. I really enjoyed it. And people seem to go crazy for that gene. Do you think he can be the next star of the PFL?
I think he is. He's a star for sure. He's a character. Like I said, he's very, very likable. In real life, I love talking to him, and he brings his whole fan club with him, which he travels in numbers, and he said Silverback Nation is only growing in numbers. So I think tonight was a really, really good night for him. He's been out of the cage also for a while. He won the tournament a year ago, and that gave him an automatic berth to get a title shot, and it took us this long to be able to arrange one. But tonight was a really good night for him, and like I said, I saw him as a fighter tonight really maturing. He was at a higher level than I believe he was a year ago, and I think he's.
Ernesto surprises a lot. What do you want to see from him next, or when do you want to see him next fighting again?
Well, Ernesto?
Yeah.
I think, yeah. I mean, he was a very, very tough opponent tonight, and he had some. I mean, look, his striking was on point. Knocked down Thad Jean, and on the ground he was holding his own too. I mean, he was considerably smaller with shorter reach, but tough fighter and pretty well rounded. So we'll have to see who's the next worthy opponent for him. But I think his stock went up in my mind in terms of his positioning in the PFL tonight. Did a great job.
And you think we see Thad Jean fighting this year again?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes.
At the end of the Chris Nixon fight, he was carted out. Is there any update on his status yet?
I don't have an update. I think he may have gone. I had heard he might have gone to the hospital, but I'm not sure. I'll have to find out.
And then also the ESPN. I knew there was a delay. They were on ESPN News. During the card, they also split the breakdance.
Yeah, I heard that.
Any comment on that?
What am I going to say? No. I thought it was a joke when I saw it, but unfortunately it wasn't.
Yeah, the amount of text I got out of it.
Yeah, me too.
So, and then I think, as everyone kind of commented, it's like Thad Jean, that Silverback Nation travels. Where do you think his peak is at this current time? Because no matter where you take him, the crowd comes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's got a lot of runway. Like he's a special athlete, and like I said, I watched him. I wasn't at the PFL yet, but I watched him fight in the World Tournament a year ago, and he beat some really worthy opponents. He beat Jason Jackson. He beat Logan Storley, and he did it in convincing fashion. And he probably was the least well known of all the fighters relative to the ones I just mentioned. And he's, like I said, his training, whatever he's doing training is working. And it's interesting that he's calling out that he wants to be a double champ. I mean, I saw him in San Diego. He looked like he was 25 pounds heavier. So I don't think it would be that tough for him to fight at middleweight if that's what he chooses to do. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. We got a number of really terrific middleweights. I'm thrilled that we now crowned a welterweight champion, and we gotta focus on what's next with that and his first title defense.
And is it also probably helpful for the company where he wants to be the face of the company? I think everyone just wants to do the best they can, but he's actually calling out to be the face. Currently, we have Dakota and Usman and all that. So how great is it to have a following who travels with the name that wants to be the face?
Well, I think it's great. I mean, listen, the more that I get to know the fighters, we've got some incredible athletes and incredible stories and personalities. We're trying to do a better job of telling those stories because these are such interesting people in terms of their athleticism and dedication and where they've come from and why do they fight. But if you look around the PFL, I mean, and I can't wait, we haven't named, but we want to get Vadim Nemkov back fighting again. He's our heavyweight champ, and Corey Anderson is coming off of an injury with his neck, so I'd like to get him back in the cage. Dakota, really excited after a long extended injury. She's fighting again. Usman back next weekend, putting his 21-0 record on the line. Johnny Eblen and Costello almost came to blows in the middle of the cage. I'm sort of glad they didn't because I was standing in the middle of them last week. That would have been bad for me. But I think we've got a lot of really, really elite, talented fighters that we're trying to do a better job at the PFL of highlighting and showcasing.
Congratulations, John.
Thank you.
More so, even the more homegrown talent really starting to outshine acquisitions. I guess we can probably say more. So, great job tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes.
Yes, sir. So again, congratulations on the great event. Notice a couple of things, and kind of in the same vein that Zach was talking about. When I think about the PFL, I think about how well you guys actually develop fighters. You've been putting a lot of time and energy about establishing pipelines overseas in Australia and in Africa, Europe, etc. Of course, we've had a couple of PFL European champions come over here and do very well. Dakota being one of them, Jakob Kashiba being another. That's a very impressive guy. But we had two fighters today from Africa, and Kosi in particular. He really impressed the heck out of me. I'd love to hear your perspective. Like, what is it that you're looking for these fighters that are competing overseas? What is it that you want to see from them before you bring them into the U.S. market?
You know, I appreciate you mentioning that because I think, I don't remember if I said it here or I said it earlier, tonight was a really interesting night for PFL Africa because both fighters came in and really, not only were they skilled and talented, but showmen and really put on, you know, a show. And so the idea behind these development leagues is to actually have arms and legs on the ground and eyes on the ground where we can identify these young fighters that are very, very early in the career. You know, we don't have a TV show like the UFC does with the Contender Series. We don't have that. But in some respects, having these development leagues and then putting some of these 3-0 fighters at the beginning of our undercard, that's our Contender Series. We're giving fighters an opportunity to come in and demonstrate to us that they're worthy of being here, and then we can try to develop them through. And you know, the PFL has a track record of developing and promoting and identifying fighters like Dakota, like Paul Hughes, like Patrick Harborora. Keep an eye out for Patrick, who's undefeated and is winning every one of his fights in spectacular fashion. So we want to do more of that. And you know, the African continent is huge, and it's tough to really cover all that space. But these two fighters tonight really showed that they belonged here, and I think there's another pipeline, or there's more of a pipeline of African fighters that we'd love to be able to showcase on a global stage.
Yes, sir. One more kind of final question to me would be, obviously, as like the leader of this company, you're probably always looking ahead, always thinking about like, well, what could I do next? What could we do next? As you kind of like look forward into 2027 and beyond, are there like some top priorities that you have in your mind that you can share with us about what direction you want to take the PFL in?
I think my biggest goals, because you saw the fighters delivered, and the matchmaking delivered, and I think our matchmaking this year has been pretty good. We need to elevate the PFL brand. That's really what's holding us back, is that not that many people know who the PFL is. And there's reasons why that is, and I'm not making excuses, but we got to fix our distribution. We've got to continue to invest more in telling stories and showcasing these fighters. And that's kind of on me, and that's my job. And so that's what I'm focusing on doing. And you'll see us hopefully be able to demonstrate that a little bit more clearly in the not too distant future. But that's really the focus, because the fighters are doing what they're supposed to do. They're doing a great job.